We are joined by Glenville State first-year head football coach Jake Casteel. And Jake, I understand we're catching you on a busy night, so we thank you for making some time for us tonight. But you have a spring practice. You also have a junior visitation day. Set the scene for what you have going on tonight in Glenville.
Yeah, so it's our second scrimmage of the spring, and we're doing it under the lights, kind of getting a game, more of a game feel to it. We scrimmaged last Saturday. It was still more practice-y than it was a scrimmage, and we got a bunch of, we want to push it back, get some high school kids here. I think we got 60 kids that told us they're coming. So hopefully we got a good, get a crowd there for the kids, a little more pressure, and make it as game-like as possible. So we're excited, kind of show what we got. We got a lot of stuff to show off here with a new facility, and a lot of people haven't been to Glenville even if they're from the state. So we're excited to kind of show off what we got.
Yeah, I'm certain you'll show it off and show it off well. But what have you seen so far from your club? Your first spring with the Pioneers, a lot of new faces that you're dealing with. What have you found out about your team?
Yeah, you're starting, this will be our 11th practice. So you start to see them kind of settle into the system, offensively, defensively, special teams. And, with all the new guys, you kind of worry about the team camaraderie, coming together, and, you bring in 30-plus transfers, a whole new coaching staff. And what I've been impressed with is how well they blended together, come together as a team. I think they get to spend a lot of time off the field together here as well. There's not a whole lot to do except hang out with your buddies down here, So I've been impressed with how well they've come together, how much they've trusted the coaching staff, and I think they're tough. We're getting them to play hard, and you're never fully satisfied with that. But I've been impressed with their want to so far.
So you're hired as the new head coach of the Pioneers back on December 8th, and I imagine since that time, although you're not preparing for a game, there's still a whole lot going on, getting your coaching staff in place, retaining guys, getting into spring practice, and then keeping an eye towards the future in recruiting. Has everything over the last 4 months kind of gone to a script that you had anticipated, or is it nothing like you had thought going in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say probably more along the lines of not exactly what I thought. I told everybody, they don't tell you a lot of stuff when you take the job, and then you learn something new every day, okay, I'd never thought about that, or okay, let's try to do that. Next time we do that, let's do it totally differently. A little bit trial by error. You kind of I had a plan. The plan changes, day to day, and, you kind of adjust to what works best. And it's a first. There's a lot of firsts for me, a lot of firsts for our staff. We're pretty young staff, and on guys like Coach Hill, who's been here for a really long time, a really good player here, and some of the guys I kept on staff that know how Glenville works, how the other side of campus works, how they've done things in the past, and maybe keeping some things and changing some things to do them differently. But no, I would say not necessarily was not stick to the script. There's been a lot of adjustments, but this time next year, I think I'll feel a lot better about the position I'm in. But I think I've settled in over the last, whatever it's been, 3-4 months, and it's getting normal now.
Yeah, so Jake, obviously one of the firsts for you is the first time as a head coach. But have had a really nice career so far as an assistant coach, but this has got to be different. What is the different world of being a head coach compared to being an assistant?
Yeah, very different. From going to just having a position room where you're in charge of 5, 6, 10, 12 guys, and then now you take over. We're trying to get our roster to 120 kids plus. So you're in charge of the whole team. And the thing I got to remind myself the most is at practice. And I've been a defensive guy my whole life, coach defense, and I'm working with the defense here. And if the defense doesn't necessarily do well in the last period of practice, I might not be in the best mood, but I also got to be excited that our offense is doing well. So just kind of taking in the whole team aspect of everything, and you oversee everything. It's not just your position room. The whole team's your position room, and every little thing that you do, that I do, matters to the team and affects the whole program. So just kind of understanding that and figuring out the best way to go about things, and and then on the field, being excited for the offense as well. That's probably been a big learning. I think I've gotten better as spring ball's gone on, honestly.
And you kind of get into my next point that I wanted to ask you about, and Jake Casteel, the new Glenville State head football coach, joining us on the CityNet statewide Sportsline. When you're going through the course of spring practice, and ultimately it'll end with another intra-squad scrimmage, but do you almost want to see offense has the better end 7 times, defense has the better end 7 times? Do you walk away more comfortable from practice knowing that there's a little bit of give and take both ways?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's how you want it. There should be some good on both sides, some explosive plays from the offense. The defense should, try to stop the run, all that. And but yeah, you want it to go both ways. Me and Coach Mullen, the offensive coordinator, we go way back, so we get pretty competitive. And sometimes the drill keeps going. Like if we won 2, they won, we keep going a little bit. But we got to be cautious of getting a little too competitive as coaches. But I think the players really, I've been impressed with how competitive they get when we start doing, play it drills, live drills, like the flip switches with them. But yeah, no, you want to see some good and bad. There's been some good, bad, and ugly on both sides, and hopefully we clean up and there's a lot more good on both sides as we keep going through spring.
Yeah, you got a history with your offensive coordinator going way back. He was a young kid running around the Pushcart Center when you were, as well as obviously his dad was former Mountaineer offensive coordinator Jeff Bolin. But what kind of offensive system are you guys bringing together? I mean, you've seen a variety of things in your coaching career. What are you trying to implement offensively and defensively as well?
Yeah, well, one of our advantages is nobody knows because there's no film of me ever running a defense, and there's no film of Nate ever running an offense. So, but, number one, offensively, like I told Nate, we got to be able to run the ball. And number one, defensively, we got to be able to stop the run. So we put an emphasis on that in spring by how we practice with inside run, team run, being able to get everybody's on the same page of we need to be able to run the football, and we don't want teams to run the ball on us. And then, like defensive, I say control the pass. And, then Nate off of being able to run the ball, being able to push the ball down the field on, different pass concepts and things like that. So, my big thing offensively, defensively, special teams was that we keep it simple so the kids can play fast. They're not out there thinking, and that we beat people fundamentally with toughness and how hard we play. And I think we're getting that established. I tell I'm coaching the linebackers, I tell them all the time, I don't want to have to call a bunch of fancy stuff to win. I want to win because you guys know what to do and you outplay people in between the whistles. And that's kind of our mentality as a team, and they're slowly taking that on, I think.
Obviously, you have no shortage of influences and people that have played a part in your football development, not only as a player but as a coach. You can go back to your playing days at University High School and John Kelly. Obviously, your father, Jeff, who's been a longtime defensive coordinator at WVU, Rich Rodriguez. So do you kind of pull a little bit from each of those guys that you have met along the way and kind of develop your style from that, or is it completely different?
Yeah, no, I think I've definitely pulled a lot from the guys I've been around. And, obviously I lean on my dad, and, me and him don't have all the same beliefs, but I think every kid kind of turns into their dad as they get older. At least that's what my mom and my sister tell me. But, pulling away from him, like being around Coach Rodriguez for the last 2 seasons, and a guy that's been there, done that at every single level, and has been there, done that at Glenville, and being able to, and I could still pick his brain. He's been a resource for me. But just being around him on the day-to-day and how competitive his teams are, how he pushes the kids, but also how he puts his arm around them after he may get on them. And that, that's kind of the art of coaching. But being able to pull from all the places I've been and things I liked, things maybe I didn't like, and, put them to the test here.
You keeping your dad off the practice field from down there? I mean, I bet you your mom's sending him down because he's probably driving her nuts now that he's retired.
Yeah, I think she's trying to get rid of him sometimes. He's supposed to come down tonight, actually, but I think since we're going a little bit later, he don't want to drive back to Morgantown tonight. But he's been down here to 2 or 3 practices. He'll come down next week, I think on Friday for, we're going to practice Friday and then do the spring game Saturday. So he's been back and forth. He watches our film every night on his iPad, so he's still getting his fill. But I think he's playing a lot more golf. I don't know if he's at the house all the time. And I know he's bored because when I do talk to him on the phone, it's 30, 40 minutes now. Back in the day, it'd be like 5, 10 minutes, So but he's doing well. He's enjoying retirement.
It was, yeah, last I heard, he was driving his neighbors nuts because he mows at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, he probably does. He probably does. I need him to come down here and cut my grass. But
There
no,
you go.
he has become a yard freak in his retirement. He did during his first retirement. He was the same way. My sister was getting on him. But we might have the best yard. I don't know what that neighborhood's called they live in, but I think he's trying to have the best yard in whatever neighborhood that is.
Naturally. One more for you, Jake, and then we'll let you go. Your take on the roster that you have in terms of returning players, guys that you brought in throughout the course of the winter. And I know looking at your offensive line, you've got a couple Division I transfers, some guys that we know pretty well from the local area here. So your overall assessment of your rosters, strength, weaknesses, and where things currently stand.
Yeah, we definitely have some skill guys that can run. We feel like in the back end on defense, at receiver. I really like our backs. I think our backs run really hard. They make you have to tackle them. Our O-line, we don't have a ton of them, but like I keep telling them every day, and the whole team, like how proud I am of the O-line. We got 7, 8 guys, and they don't really get a whole lot of reps off. And we're going to help them. We're going to get more guys in here. We signed a bunch of high school kids. We're still looking for some more transfers. But our O-line has been the heroes of spring with how hard those guys have played with very, very little rest. And they're letting us practice just by, and they're really tough kids. But as far as the roster, we still got some spots to fill. We're still recruiting for the class of 2026, whether that's still some high school kids, some late signees. And at Division II, we still have the portal window, unlike Division I, where we can still bring in transfer guys, JUCO guys, things like that. So we're still working on the 2026 class, and today's kind of the start for us get some early eyes on some 2027 kids, especially all the kids coming are from the state of West Virginia, which is awesome.
Jake, very much appreciate you carving out some time on a busy night. Wish you all the best of luck with tonight's practice, the rest of spring ball, and then as you get set for the season. But we appreciate you carving out a couple minutes for us this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thanks very much. Jake Casteel, the first-year head coach of the Glenville State football team, as the Pioneers put the pieces in place for the start of the 2026 season.